To get started, up to 3 players choose an Animus card, and 1 player chooses a Nemesis card. In this video, we will be using a 4-player scenario with the Undead Warlord, Cybercop, Songstress, and Pyromancer. Each Animus has a designated 30-card Animus deck that goes with it. The Nemesis player has a 20-card base Nemesis deck, which is then modified. Depending on the Nemesis they choose, they will have an additional 20-card deck that gets shuffled into that base Nemesis deck. Once each player has their deck, they shuffle it and put it in their Animus and Nemesis deck zones. Each player then flips over 5 cards and places them into their Dreamscape. If a Nightmare card appears in the Nemesis Dreamscape during this time, set it off to the side. They then continue filling their Dreamscape until they have 5 cards showing. Shuffle any set-aside cards back into their decks. As for the Adaptability and Dreamcatcher decks, place them face up on the table where everyone can reach. Each player begins the game with 4 Conviction cards, 3 Assault cards, and 3 Guard cards. Each player shuffles the 10 cards they just received and places them in their player deck zone. They then draw 5 cards for their starting hand. Included with this game are health point dials. Each player gets one and sets it to his or her character's max HP listed on their card. The Nemesis player multiplies their max HP by the number of Animus players in the game. This is now their max HP. No player can exceed this number. Each player gains an experience tracker. All trackers should initially be set to 0. Turn order starts with the player sitting to the left of the Nemesis and then continues clockwise from there. On a player's turn, they may play any number of cards from their hand. Any unused cards may stay in the player's hand at the end of their turn. However, a player may choose to discard up to 2 cards to gain +1 conviction for each card discarded this way. Most cards can only be played during the player's turn, and then are discarded at the end of the turn after use. However, certain cards may have symbols that alter how they are played. They then end their turn by discarding all cards used, gained, or purchased, and draw back up to 5 cards. If at any point there are no cards left in the player deck zone to draw from, shuffle the discard pile and draw the remaining number of cards needed. Each card will have a conviction cost represented by a number on top of a conviction symbol. All purchased cards are placed off to the side. As for the Dreamcatcher and Adaptability decks, only one of each can be purchased per turn. When that player's turn is over, they refill their Dreamscape back up to a max of 5 cards. If there are no cards left in the Animus or Nemesis deck to fully refill their Dreamscape, then the game ends immediately. On a player's turn, they can play cards to accumulate attack power to attack a single target once per turn. After the total attack power is calculated and a target is chosen for the attack, subtract that number from the target's current HP. If the target has any defense, subtract that number from the attack power before applying it to the target's HP. If the target reaches 0 HP, they are defeated. If a Reaver or ally card is defeated, they are immediately sent to their owner's discard pile, and the attacker gains the reward listed on the bottom of that card. If an Animus character is defeated, they flip their Animus card over to the Anima side. On their turn, they may use the ability listed on this side of the card. Their player deck and discard pile are considered removed from the game until the game ends. All character cards have different skills that can be reached by gaining experience. Experience is accumulative by the use of the experience tracker and tokens. As they gain more experience, they will have access to all skills equal to or less than their total experience. The first time an Animus player deals any damage, either through an attack or with direct damage cards, to the Nemesis player on their turn, they receive 1 experience. This works vice versa for the Nemesis player. However, it only counts for the first Animus they deal damage to. The Animus players may give the experience they receive to their fellow Animus players instead of gaining it themselves. This exchange occurs the moment experience is gained, not after the fact. This works the same for the Nemesis players in order to give experience to Reavers. The Nemesis player gains 1 experience at the start of their turn automatically. Certain cards may deal direct damage to a target. Those types of cards do not count as an attack. The damage also ignores the target's defense number. When a Nightmare card enters the Nemesis's Dreamscape, they are immediately sent to the discard pile of the Nemesis's choice unless specified otherwise. The Nemesis continues refilling their Dreamscape until they have 5 cards in it. Nightmare cards cannot be discarded. They must be played or destroyed to remove them from a player's hand, deck, or in play. If at any point a card is destroyed from anywhere, the owner of that card removes it from the game. If a player is told to discard a card, it goes into their discard pile next to their player deck. However, if an Adaptability or Dreamcatcher card is destroyed, return it to the top of their face-up piles. In some cases, a card may have a condition of being able to be used once per round or once per turn. Once per round means that it can be used once at any time between the start of the owner's turn until the start of their next turn, in a similar fashion as a quick cast card. Once per turn is only able to be used once during the player's turn. Healing cards, plus and/or minus attack power, or plus and/or minus defense cards can only target characters. Reaver and ally cards cannot be healed or modified. All modifiers stay on the player until the end of the turn they played them on. If played as a quick cast on another player's turn, then modifiers last until the start of the player's next turn. The game ends when any of the following conditions occur. All Animus players have been defeated. The Nemesis player has been defeated. A player can't refill their Dreamscape. If the Animus players defeat the Nemesis, they win the game. If all Animus players were defeated by the Nemesis, then the Nemesis wins the game. In the event the game ends due to someone being unable to refill their Dreamscape, then each player adds up the total victory points in their player decks. The Animus players then combine their totals. The Nemesis adds their total victory points and then multiplies it by the number of Animus players. The side with the most victory points wins the game.